Hello you guys, welcome to my channel All Things Militia, where I discuss a lot about what's going on in the political world and also topics that pertain to everyday life in general. If you are subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you guys. Don't forget, if you see a video that you like, to give your girl a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below because I love getting your thoughts on what I'm discussing. Share the video, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. You can do all those things, and don't forget to subscribe if you're interested. So I'm coming on here tonight, you guys, to discuss January 6th. I just saw reports that the FBI is opening up an investigation regarding January the 6th. And that's kind of interesting considering that the FBI reportedly was involved in infiltrating the crowd on that day. But at any rate, you guys, let's get into this. You know, the left ran this in the media day in and day out, claiming that President Trump tried to stage an insurrection and overthrow the government after they, in my opinion, staged a coup and removed him from office in 2020. And you know what else is interesting, you guys, is when Trump first announced that he was going to have this rally, I immediately was like, this is not a good idea. I just knew it wasn't a good idea. I knew they were going to stage something or something was going to happen that day. I just automatically knew it because these people have shown themselves to be relentless in going after him, okay, trying to impeach him a number of times, ran that Russia collusion hoax, which was found to be false. So they were doing everything that they could, use COVID, tried to blame him for COVID. I mean, they did everything that they could to put him out in a bad light. And then at the end, in my opinion, they staged a coup to have him removed from office. And then, you know, he decided to do the rally. But let's get into a little bit of the events that happened around that time, starting off with Tucker Carlson.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. Kevin McCarthy's continued attempt to become Speaker of the House continues at this hour. The House is expected to take another vote late tonight. You'll see it live here on Fox, of course. But first, an anniversary. 2 years ago today, a Capitol Hill police officer called Michael Byrd shot an unarmed woman in the neck. At the time of that killing, Byrd had a documented history of gross negligence with a firearm. He left a loaded Glock pistol in a public men's room at the Capitol, which for a law enforcement official is a firing offense. But for some reason, Michael Byrd was still in the force that day. The woman he killed was called Ashley Babbitt. Babbitt was a married 14-year veteran of the U.S. military. She ran a pool cleaning company with her husband in San Diego. Physically, she was tiny. She was also unarmed. Michael Byrd later admitted he had no indication at all that Babbitt was carrying a weapon. She posed no visible threat. He killed her anyway. Under normal circumstances, Byrd would have been fired immediately and charged with murder, which he clearly committed. But that's not what happened. After doing essentially no investigation into the shooting, Nancy Pelosi's congressional police force declared Byrd a national hero.
Wow.
And the media strongly agreed. Byrd went on television to accept accolades and to complain about racism. He was never...
You know what, you guys? It's just crazy, you know, and then with all this stuff happening with ICE, and, you know, they have agitators, literally out there provoking ICE, cussing them out, you know, just throwing bricks, doing all this stuff, okay, clearly trying to provoke a situation. And then when those people were, you know, killed by ICE, you had the media that wanted to turn on ICE. But here you have an innocent woman that was barely mentioned in the left-wing, bought and paid for, lying liberal media, news media, that was the only person that died reportedly on that day, a Trump supporter, who was posing no threat, not provoking officers, none of that, just there to protest. And you rarely heard about her, and still to this day rarely hear about her. So it's a lot of corruption, you guys, a lot of wickedness that happened today. And then if you also remember, they had the January 6th committee after the former corrupt now president was installed. They formed this January 6th committee, which President Trump said was the unselect committee. And what's interesting is that this committee was given a preemptive pardon by Joe Biden on his way out the door. So if they were legit with the evidence that they found about President Trump trying to insurrect the government that day, why did they reportedly destroy all of the stuff that they had. And why did they get a preemptive pardon? Liz Cheney.
The need for this committee to hear from Donald Trump goes beyond our fact finding. This is a question about accountability to the American people. He must be accountable.
Yeah. He must be accountable. Well, let's see a little bit of President Trump, what he had to say about that day.
And the problem is the fake news. That's why I like being on. I'd much rather do live television than do non-live, because when they say, as an example in my speech, peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol, peacefully and patriotically. Do you know that the Unselect Committee didn't report it, that I said those words?
Of course not.
Do you know that the news never reported the words walk or march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol? Do you know they never reported it? It's a scandal. The Unselect Committee never reported that. They never reported that Nancy Pelosi was offered 10,000 soldiers, National Guard soldiers, whatever you want. No, I don't want them. And the mayor. The mayors weren't running. She was more honorable about it. But Nancy got caught when her daughter did a documentary. She's a documentariist. And she has her mother saying, "It's my fault. I should have taken the soldiers," or something. I saw that in the documentary. I said, whoa, this was a major story.
Major.
Has she spoken to her daughter since that, you know? But they just, you know, they are vicious people, even on the attack. And the problem
It's crazy, you guys. And he was talking about her daughter, Nancy Pelosi, who was the former Speaker of the House that tore up his State of the Union speech on live television. How she had her daughter there actually recording the events of that day, January 6th. How convenient, the timing of that. But at any rate, let's get into a little bit more of this, you guys. This is what President Trump was talking about when he said or told his protesters to peacefully and patriotically, protest. And I don't know anyone that's trying to insurrect or overthrow a government that's going to use the words peaceful and patriotically. And this is what the bought and paid for liberal media left out.
We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing and only count the electors who have been lawfully slated. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Today we will see whether Republicans stand strong for integrity of our elections. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building
Hear it again.
to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Not throw bricks like these people were doing to ICE. Not cursing out police officers, but peacefully and patriotically. That's why you saw several members in that crowd that day with their flags. I don't know anyone that's trying to overthrow their government that's holding their flags and taking selfies and pictures in Congress. Now, it was reportedly found and proven that there were FBI agents that infiltrated the crowd, that there were people wearing MAGA clothing that was not MAGA to provoke and instigate the riots that occurred on that day. There's also another man, I can't think of his name right now, who was on videotape. I'm going to do a part 2 on this, you guys. So on the part 2, I should be able to find that man that was there that day to provoke and instigate that situation. But yeah, let's keep it moving, you guys. One of the biggest scandals of all times in the history of this country, claiming that the president that they targeted nonstop since his announcement to run for president was trying to overthrow the government. And people couldn't see that this was just another way or another opportunity that the left used to try to remove him from power.
And then we got into January 6th, which I think was the most important part of the history program in both Fort Lauderdale and Orlando. So I asked him, look, you are being accused of instigating the attack on the Capitol by a House committee. You're being accused of doing that. What say you? Roll the tape.
One other thing that nobody knows, I knew how large this was going to be because everyone I knew was saying, oh, we're going to be there on the 6th, we're going to be there, no matter where you went. I said, I think this is going to be really big. And I asked the Secretary of Defense, I said, I think you should recommend to Nancy Pelosi and to Congress, because they're the ones that control it, I would like to recommend 10,000 National Guardsmen to go and to police here just in case. I didn't do it as an order, I did it as a suggestion. Because remember, they run the police. Pelosi and Schumer run that whole operation. So a lot of people don't know this, they don't like to report it.
All right, so we immediately checked that out. Did Donald Trump, a day before, on January 5th, tell his Secretary of Defense,
of course he
Christopher Miller, to request 10,000 guardsmen to protect the Capitol and other government offices? So here's what we found from Miller on a sworn testimony. Put it up on the screen. Quote, on the afternoon of January 5th, I received a call from the president in connection with a rally by his supporters that day at Freedom Plaza. The president asked if I was watching the event on television. I replied I'd seen the coverage of the event. He then commented that they were going to need 10,000 troops the following day, unquote. So that call was made, all right, to then Secretary of Defense, Christopher Miller. Now, whether it got to Pelosi and Pelosi turned it down, I can't confirm that. But that's what Donald Trump says happened. But there's no doubt that he did want the Guard in there one day before the attack on the Capitol, and that undercuts the entire premise that Donald Trump instigated the Capitol attack. So I thought that was pretty...
Point blank, period. Why would he ask for the National Guards to be there? Why would he tell his supporters to peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard? And then after stuff escalated that day into a riot, he's also on videotape telling them to just, I don't know if he did it on tape, but he did post a message telling his supporters to go home. Just leave, just go home. But this is the man that the left claimed tried to overthrow the government. And you still have a lot of people that believe this mess because the media has been used to propagandize and not give the truth. Let's go to this one. This is Nancy Pelosi when she was questioned about lying on January the 6th. The old drunkard reportedly insider trading disgraced former Speaker of the House.
What do you say to former President Trump, who blames you for January 6th and says you didn't take his offer for the National Guard?
He thinks I planned my own assassination. He's sicker than I thought.
Y'all thought he planned his.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff should we call the Capitol Police? The National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient
resources. No, there's not a question of how they don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having.
She takes responsibility. Why didn't the media want to cover that? She takes responsibility. Her and Trump went back and forth saying he asked for 10,000 National Guards. They kept trying to make out that no, Trump didn't ask. Just make a big deal out of it. But here she is taking responsibility. And let's check this out when a reporter confronted her also about it.
Congresswoman Pelosi, are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you. Congress.
Mad Dog 2020. Shut up. Huh. Yeah. Very telling, you guys. Let's go on to this. Well, we already saw that one. So, yeah, it's just interesting. These people ran this in the media day in and day out, claiming that President Trump was trying to overthrow the government. He didn't want to be out of power after they, in my opinion, staged a coup to have him removed from office. And this is, something I found of a former vice president of Donald Trump, Mike Pence, they used to call the White Knight, with the former Speaker of the House at the beginning of President Trump's first term. Let's hear what she had to say about the White Knight.
Thank you. Let me just say that as you can hear from, and as you know, the Vice President-elect's leadership, I said to him when I spoke to him last week, you're going to be a very valued player in all of this because you know the territory. And I know, with no disrespect for the sensitivity and knowledge of the president-elect, you know the territory. Right. So in that territory, we will try to find our common ground where we can.
And their common ground is money, because reportedly they were bought and paid off, Pence as well, to lie about what happened that day. Yeah, and if you don't believe me, you guys, you can look this stuff up for yourself. These are a bunch of damn crooks. This is what happened with Pence when he was interviewed by Tucker Carlson. They want to act like they were so concerned about the American people. Pence was considering to run for president, reportedly, and Tucker Carlson shut it all down with this interview right here.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President, have you, I know you're running for president. You are distressed that the Ukrainians don't have enough American tanks. Every city in the United States has become much worse over the past 3 years. Yeah. Drive around. There's not one city that's gotten better in the United States. Right. And it's visible. Our economy has degraded. The suicide rate has jumped. Public filth and disorder and crime have exponentially increased. And yet, your concern is that the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who've received tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars, don't have enough tanks. Right. I think it's a fair question to ask, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern.
Oh, really?
Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before, but that's not my concern. I'm running for president of the United States because I think this country's in a lot of trouble.
Did he just say that?
I think Joe Biden is weak in America at home and abroad.
I'm sorry,
Tucker just sat there oh my God, I can't believe he just said that. That's not your concern. The American people are not your concern, but you are considering running for the office of the presidency of the American people. Yeah, that pretty much terminated and canceled his contract. At any rate, tells you all you need to know about these folks, you guys. Here's Nancy Pelosi, who's the reported insider trader. When a random guy just walked up to her, he wanted to get some, advice about purchasing stocks, because reportedly she did well with her stocks in her trades, even better than some of the hedge managers, if that's what they call them. Let's take a look at it.
What stocks should I buy, Nancy? You're the greatest options trader of all time. I just want to know what stocks I should buy.
Hey man, first of all, shout out to this crazy guy for asking Nancy Pelosi what stocks to buy. If you don't know who this is, it's Congresswoman Pelosi, and he's not lying. She actually is the greatest options trader of all time. Y'all check this out real quick. So she's able to do stuff like this and make $1.4 million trading in video calls in just 84 days. Now, even though she's just a politician, she's able to make money like this trading options because she has Wall Street connections and has insider information that the rest of us don't.
Exactly. And so much so that a lot of people were just saying, follow whatever she does. Look at what she's trading and then follow the trail, because she was just spot on with her trades. And this just tells you the type of people that were trying to claim President Trump was unethical and immoral and unfit to serve, but they themselves were tied to corruption. And to end this, you guys, let's look at this town hall that President Trump did with CNN. You know, back then when the reporters weren't reporters, they were actually activists. This is one of them. And let's see what he had to say, once again, regarding January 6th, during this interview.
One person who was at the Capitol that day, as you know, was your vice president, Mike Pence, who says that you endangered his life on that day.
I don't think he was in any danger.
Mr. President, do you feel that you owe him an apology?
No, because he did something wrong. He should have put the votes back to the state legislatures, and I think we would have had a different outcome. I really do.
But he doesn't have the authority to do that, as you know.
What?
The vice president does not have the authority to reject those
Are you ready? Let's have this one
results.
out just now, because it's interesting. Let's keep it interesting, right?
Yeah.
I like Mike Pence very much. He's a very fine man. He's a very nice man. He made a mistake. His lawyer said, you cannot move. I called him the human conveyor belt. I said, even if the votes, I talked to his lawyer, even if the votes are absolutely fraudulent, he can't say, yes, sir, he can't send back. And the Democrats played it, and the rhinos played it. And then the election was over. They told him he couldn't do it. And Mike said to me, I can't do it. The lawyers told me he can't do it. They can't do it. But the lawyers were wrong, because right after the election, they all met, the rhinos and the Democrats, and they worked out a plan to make sure that future vice presidents don't do what I said you could do.
That's not what happened. You're referring to the Electoral Count Act.
Exactly what happened.
I read that. There is no authority.
No,
legal experts, including Republican legal experts, say that he does not have that authority. Mr.
You see how they had these left-wing bought and paid for hacks? How they were talking to Trump, not asking him questions, not getting information, but trying to tell him what was and what wasn't.
And why did they change the law then, saying that you can't do it?
They didn't change the law. They strengthened the law because they were worried about presidents exploiting.
Meaning you could do it.
Dumbass.
That's not what it means.
That's exactly what it meant. Ugh, them people ran me hot, you guys. Just wickedness. Just take money just to lie and be corrupt and just, you know what I'm saying, promote this wickedness. That's exactly what they did. And Pence knew that he had the authority not to certify that election, because there was a lot of questionable things that happened with the election of 2020. I have messages in my phone right now, text messages in my old phone of none other of Democrats, or by Democrats, I should say. I'm getting too excited. Let me calm down. But I have several text messages from only Democrats during that time, harassing the hell out of me for weeks, trying to get me to be sure that I vote for them. Can we count on you to help save America from Trump? Didn't receive a single text or message from the Republican side. So this was a coup, in my opinion, you guys, to put in place a person that they could control, which was Joe Biden, of course, because his mental was gone. He spent decades enriching himself off of the public people, so much so that he forgot all about it. He was just there. He didn't even know where the hell he was. But yeah, this was all by design, and that's why the media failed to report on the most important parts. And to this day, still want to claim that January 6th was one of the worst days in the history of our country, even likening it to 9/11. Kamala Harris, who's considering running again in 2028 after she got $1 billion in donations and came out $20 million in debt and lost in a landslide still. And she's considering running again. These are the people that we're dealing with. So yeah, President Trump, like him, hate him, whatever. He's the best option that we had for this country when you're dealing with what we've had. That's my thoughts, you guys. Give me yours in the comment section, and I'll see you later.